Geometry, right, is all about what shape do you think? Could you take a guess at what shape? Triangles, that's where the tri comes from. And the gonometry comes from geometry, which means measurements, right? So we're looking at the measurements of in a triangle. So in a triangle, right, we have 6 measurements, don't we? There's 3 sides. So there's measure of side 1, side 2, side 3, and there's measure of 3 angles, angle 1, angle 2, angle 3. Agreed? Right, okay, yes. Say that again? I have it recorded, yeah? Right, okay. So, trigonometry, so it's all about the geometry of triangles. Right, and for junior cert, we only have to deal with right angled triangles. So, only right angled triangles for junior cert, okay? So when you come to leaving cert, you'll be looking at all types of triangles, but only right angled triangles for junior cert. So basically we have, that's JC for junior cert, okay? So basically we have, anytime you see a question on a right angle triangle, you know you're probably in trigonometry, right? Okay, so there's 2 main things with trigonometry. There's Pythagoras' theorem, which I'm going to do right now, right? And there's SOHCAHTOA, which you probably have never heard of, but you'll know what it means in a while. Okay, Pythagoras' theorem, I'd say you did in first year, did you? Okay, I'll just remind you. Okay, so only right angle triangles. Okay, so before we start, in a right angle triangle, girls, there's a special side, and it's always straight across from the right angle. Does anyone remember what it's called? The hypotenuse. Did you ever hear that? Okay, so the hypotenuse, that's an alien there, right? Hypotenuse, right? H for short, okay? And it's always straight across from the right angle. So if you put the tip of your pen into the right angle, right, it'll cross over the hypotenuse. See the way it crosses over this line, right? So it'll cross over the hypotenuse. Don't bother drawing down these triangles. This is just me showing, right? Okay, here's the right angle. So straight across, that's the hypotenuse. Okay, if the right angle is up top, right, straight across from the right angle is the hypotenuse. Okay, so the hypotenuse is a special line, and it's always opposite the right angle. Right, okay, so the hypotenuse is opposite the right angle, and it's always the longest side. So the hypotenuse is opposite the right angle, and it's always the longest side. Always the longest side. The longest side is always the longest side. Is that okay? Yeah. So the hypotenuse is the line opposite the right angle, and it's always the longest side. Okay? And if you're in your exam, right, and you label the hypotenuse and you can't do anything else, you get marks. Okay? Because it's a step in the right direction. Okay? So just labeling the hypotenuse with a H, you don't even have to spell it. Just labeling the hypotenuse with a H, right, will get you marks, because you've recognized that I'm in trigonometry and it's a right angle triangle, and that's a hypotenuse. Is that right? Okay, right, so Pythagoras' theorem, can I move it up? Yeah. Are we all ready? Yeah. Okay, right? Okay, so next thing is Pythagoras' theorem. So the theorem of Pythagoras. Right, okay. So it only applies to right angle triangles. So you can't use Pythagoras' theorem in any other triangle except a right angle triangle. So it has to be a right angle triangle. And the minute you have a right angle triangle, we know the hypotenuse. This is the hypotenuse, agreed? Okay, and I'm going to call one of the other sides A, and I'm going to call one of the other sides B. Which one I call A and B, it doesn't matter, right? So if I wanted to put the A here and the B here, it really doesn't matter. Okay, so Pythagoras' theorem will tell me that the hypotenuse squared is equal to the sum of the other two sides squared, as in is equal to A squared added to B squared. So the hypotenuse squared is equal to the sum of the other two sides squared. Is that right? Wait, I do an example now and it'll make more sense. Okay? Right. And what we use it, we use this theorem when we have a right angle triangle, when we have a right angle triangle so it only applies to right angle triangles. And we're given two sides and we're looking for the third. Given the length of two sides, two sides, and want to find out the third. Of the third side.
Are we always finding the length of the hypotenuse?
No, it could be the other one. We'll see examples of both. Where sometimes at the start it'll be where we're missing the hypotenuse, and as we move on to harder examples, we'll be missing one of the other ones. Okay? So it mightn't be the hypotenuse, but there's three sides, and they'll tell you what two of them are and ask you for the third. Okay, yes.
Well, what does it say describe the length of the last side?
And we want to find the length of the third side. We want to find the length of the third side. Are we okay? Right. And I'll go straight to an example where we do the learning. Okay? Right?
You know,
So,
the theorem of
Pythagoras, yeah.
H2.
H squared, it's not H2, it's H squared is equal to A squared plus B squared. Yeah. Okay, so that's what our Pythagoras' theorem is. That the hypotenuse squared is equal to the sum of the other two sides squared. Okay? Right. Are we good? Example. Can I go? Right. Example 1. Right angle triangle. This measures 3, this measures 4, and this measures x. And the question is find x. So let's check. Do we have a right angle triangle? Yes, we do. Do we know two sides? Yes, we do. And we ask for the third? Yes, we are. Okay? So that's how you know to use Pythagoras' theorem. It's a right angle triangle, and you're given 2 of the 3 sides, and you're looking to find the third side, right? Okay, right. So first thing you do is you label the hypotenuse. So which is the hypotenuse, 3, 4 or x? X, because it's straight across from the right angle, so this is the hypotenuse. So then you call one of the other ones A and the other one B. Okay, I'm going to label them the other way around like I did the last time, because it really doesn't matter which one you call A and which one you call B. Is that okay? Then you write down Pythagoras' theorem, h squared is equal to a squared plus b squared. Okay, so h is what I'm looking for, so it's x 2b squared equals, what I write instead of a? 4 squared plus b, which is 3 squared. So that means x squared is equal to 4, into the calculator with that. I wouldn't even attempt to work it out myself when I have a calculator alongside me. Into the calculator with that, 4 squared plus 3 squared, and your answer is 25. Yes?
This doesn't matter which one you label A and B.
No. So when I was talking about it, I labelled the other one A and the other one B. So I swapped them around on purpose this time to show you it doesn't matter which one you call A and B. The important one is the H, right? That doesn't move, but A and B can be.